What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quarter, and we've got a ton of news today. I hope if you haven't yet that you'll subscribe or follow the channel wherever you like to watch me. Obviously, I'm just glad that you tune in. Also, we will be live as per usual today at 1 Eastern over on Quartercast or Rumble. Ideally, you'd watch on Rumble, but if you're a YouTube-only viewer, I still hope you'll tune in, and the channel for that is Quartercast. You'll see it linked in the description as well. We're live every day at 1 Eastern. Now, pretty big update. We're going to talk about this more in depth later as well, too, but there's more wreckage pulled from the Potomac, as well as several arrests made, and some new suspicious information about the pilot of the Blackhawk helicopter. Now, as far as I have seen, other than the Army weirdly withholding her name, there hasn't been any huge red flags in terms of the pilot. Maybe you thought they should have had some more hours. Sure. But that's how you get those hours, is training sessions, which is exactly what was going on during the crash. There are a lot of people saying, oh, she was in the White House. Did she see something that she shouldn't have in the White House? I don't know. There's no indication of that. And I want to be careful about kind of besmirching her name when there isn't hard evidence. But there are some good questions people are asking. Questions that I don't know people would ask if the military hadn't withheld her name for seemingly no reason whatsoever. DC plane crash wreckage now pulled from the Potomac. As eerie photo shows chopper in watery grave. Well, you see they've got a barge out there now with a crane. They're pulling what looks like part of the fuselage out there. I think they also pulled the engine, from what I can tell. It hoisted shattered pieces of the fuselage of the passenger jet. In addition, aerial photos released in the NTSB show the chopper lying in its shallow, watery grave as submerged parts of the doomed plane lay nearby. Here is a picture of the helicopter. What's interesting about this is it looks like relatively intact, to be honest with you, outside of, where their people were. Maybe back here in the cargo bay or the small cargo area in the back of the helicopter. But I can't tell if this is frozen over or what, but or if it's just pieces of ice. It looks like, since it's a river, it's probably not frozen. But here you see big parts of the plane. You see a tail there, the fuselage. I assume, there's still many people missing. I think as many as 20 haven't been recovered. So I don't know if they were just vaporized. The people that were probably right where the collision happened, there's probably not a whole heck of a lot left of them. But, what we know now, absolutely, positively, an altitude issue. A lot of people talking about the divers here. I can only imagine what they see when they're attempting to get these people back to their families, young kids. It's all so sad and horrifying. Yeah, I mean, these are people out here now who are digging through the icy cold waters out there, trying to find remnants of people's families that would like to bury them. That's perhaps one of the worst parts about this. I mean, obviously the worst part is losing somebody, but you don't have a body. You don't have kind of that final closure that humans need. There are other animals that actually mourn their dead. I think crows do, and perhaps a few others, but elephants do, I think. But that's a big part of our grieving process that's gone back to basically the beginning of time. As long as anyone can remember, we always kind of mourn our passing of the physical body. Whatever you believe happens after that is kind of irrelevant. I think basically all people still mourn that. In an interesting twist, though, now 2 airport authority workers have been arrested. Why? For leaking the crash video? I'm not sure what crime this would be. Perhaps it's because of the military connection. I mean, anybody with the Ring camera, are people getting arrested for putting their Ring footage camera out or cell phone cameras? I'm not sure what's going on here. But 2 employees of the authority that manages the Ronald Reagan Airport were arrested over alleged involvement in leaking surveillance footage the last week's deadly midair crash to CNN. The Metropolitan Washington Airports Authority staffers were accused of making an unauthorized copy of records and facing charges of computer trespass. Now, it is interesting to me that some people thought, hey, I'm going to get paid. I'm almost certain, what this is about. I'm going to get paid. I'm going to sell footage. CNN almost certainly paid the money for it. So, I don't know exactly what, if this is a prison sentence or a fine. I generally don't get arrested for just a fine. But it's kind of ghoulish. I get there's like a fine line, right? I cover it. There's monetary exchange if there's ever ads on the videos, things like that. This seems particularly ghoulish, to quick, go into the computers, pull the footage, call CNN and sell it to them, which is what apparently they did. The exclusive video gave a closer and clearer look of the incident, including one clip in which a chopper is darting from the left side of the screen as American Airlines approaches the airport. The second short clip shows the Blackhawk, which is carrying 3 soldiers in the Bombardier CRJ 700, heading toward each other before they smash together. Both videos were filmed on cell phones. So they pulled up the security footage, filmed it on their phones, and then sold it to CNN. Mohammed Lamine Mingabu, 21, of Rockville, Maryland, was charged Friday, and Jonathan Savoy, 45, or 21, sorry, the second guy's 45, of Upper Marlboro, Maryland, were charged on Sunday. They sent an email. Mbengi was booked on Arlington County Adult Detention Center, later released, while Savoy was issued a summons by the magistrate and then cut loose. I don't really know. They're probably not going to prison for this. I don't really think they should. It's ghoulish or whatever, but we all saw it play out in real time. Maybe that footage was never going to be released by the airport, and we got answers quicker than we would otherwise. In a way, I don't know. Probably not going to go so far as to call them whistleblowers, but especially when they exchange it for money, almost certainly with CNN. But officials began raising the wreckage of the doomed American Airlines flight on Monday. Most victims' bodies have been recovered from the icy river. You see a turbine there. Parts of the plane taken ashore. The Blackhawk chopper will be recovered. It's also been recovered. The military helicopter carrying Army Captain Rebecca Lobach, Chief Warrant Officer Andrew Eves, and Sergeant Ryan O'Hara. Now, questions remain over the midair crash, how it could have happened with the federal investigation ongoing. We got the black box information yesterday from both, and there is a discrepancy of about 100 feet in elevation. We don't know exactly why that is yet. If there was an equipment malfunction on the helicopter, we'll have to find out. We know where the collision happened at roughly 350 feet or 400 feet, when the helicopter was never supposed to be higher than 200 feet. So, again, we know that this accident was caused by the helicopter flying too high. Were they flying too high because, they had, faulty altimeter? We don't know. I suspect the Army will conveniently blame this on something like that, but we'll have to see. Now, all their interesting information, 55 people now have been positively ID'd. So that, I think there was 68. So there's 13 remaining. Again, I'm guessing if these people are, in that area where the helicopter actually hit, it'll be very, very difficult. There may be nothing, quite frankly, there may be nothing left. The collision happened at 400 feet at the speed of 140 miles an hour when the plane rapidly lost altitude over the Potomac River. Rapidly lost altitude? You mean it crashed? According to, that's the transponder data. Okay. A few minutes before landing, air traffic controllers asked the arriving commercial jet if it could land on the shorter runway 33 at Reagan National, and the pilot said that they were able to. Controllers then cleared the plane to land on 33, Flight tracking site shows the plane adjusting its approach to the new runway less than 30 seconds before the crash. So people asked us, was the helicopter warned? Yes. And the helicopter said, we will lower our altitude. They never did. Less than 30 seconds before the crash, an air traffic controller asked the Blackhawk if it had the arriving plane in sight. The controller made another radio call to the helicopter moments later. Pat 25 passed behind the CRJ. Seconds after that, the two aircraft collided. The plane's transponder stopped transmitting about 2,400 feet short of the runway, roughly in the middle of the river. Whether it was human error or mechanical error that caused the crash is yet to be determined. Again, we'll find out. Now, there's a lot of theories, and I want to be careful. Okay? It's part of my job to cover these things. But also, it's part of my job to try and be, impartial. And especially when theories about somebody who most likely lost their life in a horrific accident, I don't want to ascribe, you see this tweet has almost 40,000 likes. Rebecca Lobach was still in the ROTC in 2018. Okay, that was 7 years ago. How is she flying government continuity missions in a Blackhawk in Washington, D.C. 6 years later as a captain? I don't really think that that's a crazy question. 6 years is a long time. 6 years is enough time to get your commercial pilot's license. How did she afford a $520,000 house on 2 years in the military? I think these are legit questions. Well, I mean, there's a lot. A $500,000 house in DC probably isn't even that much. Questioning the personal lives of those on the UH-60 crew is totally ridiculous. Why was the helo at 525 AGL when 400 is a published ceiling for the helo corridor? It's actually 200, I thought. Was the helo retrofitted with TCAS? Was the autopilot installed? I don't know. She comes from money. She hated Trump. She hated his supporters. She lacked experience. She screwed up. Look, she lacked experience. However, there is a flight instructor there. That's supposed to be, that pilot is your ward when you're the flight instructor. 4 years is standard to make 03. It would be odd for her to not make captain after 6. BAH for her would be $3,276 per month. That's enough for a $520K mortgage. I mean, I don't know. I guess it depends on the terms of the loan. Certainly her mortgage would be $2,000 to $3,000. So, I don't know. It's actually not a stretch. One just needs to qualify for veteran status by obtaining a DD-214 with qualifying time served. A single deployment can satisfy that requirement. She was National Guard, likely had a full-time civilian job too. Yeah, there's not a lot here. Okay, she's a Democrat, but so what? This isn't even the right person. This isn't even the right pilot. So I would say, again, here, this is not Rebecca Lobach. Okay, so it has been community noted. All right, so I don't see anything other than a terrible, unlucky issue, but a terrible, unlucky disaster. But we'll discuss a little more in depth on today's live stream. If you haven't yet, please do follow Quartercast over on YouTube or download the Rumble app. It's new and improved today. Follow the quartering. I'll be live at 1 Eastern today. I hope to see you. We'll talk to you again real soon.